Applying an inside patch to repair a rip or tear in your RDC. If your RDC has a distinct rip or tear in the fabric, an inside patch is the best method of repair. This is more complex than a simple puncture because of the larger irregular shape of the hole. You will also need a larger amount of repair material to cover the tear. By placing the material over the tear, you will get a rough idea of the dimensions, and you will know if you have enough material to make the patch. To cut out the patch, place the material over the tear and mark out the size of the patch. Your dimensions should be at least 1 inch larger than the tear all around. Using your ruler, determine the size of your patch. In this case, we will need a patch that is 2 1/2 inches wide by 8 inches long. Next, lay out your repair material and mark out the dimensions for the patch. With your straight edge, make a clean, straight cut in the materials. Once you have your patch cut out, it is a good idea to round the edge so there are no sharp corners that can lift or detach. You can use a glue can or something similar as a guide to trimming the edges. Place the new patch over the hole to check that you have enough coverage. This patch will be glued on the inside, so it is important to mark the patch now so that it can be lined up when ready to glue. While holding the patch in place, mark the shape of the tear on the patch. When done, you will be able to see the pattern of the tear right on the patch. This is necessary when we come to glue the patch, as it will be used to center the patch under the tear from the inside of the RDC. The line will give us the best possible position for the inside patch. Now that you have created the patch and you have marked it for positioning inside the RDC, you can go ahead and prep the area with MEK. Apply MEK to a cloth and start to wipe around the tear on the inside of the RDC. You can be quite liberal with the application of the MEK. Make sure you get all around the edges of the tear, including the ends. You will also need to prep the patch as well. You may need to retrace the line you have marked on the patch if the line should become faint from the MEK. The patch will be on the inside and markings will not be visible when the repair is complete, so you don't need to worry about your markings being too dark. Now you are ready to apply glue to the inside of the RDC. Using lots of glue, start working the adhesive around the inside edges. Get in and all around edges and corners. Once you have applied the glue, you will need to prop it open to allow it to dry. Here we are using a glue can to keep the material from touching. Once it's in place, set it aside to dry. While the inside is drying, apply adhesive to the patch. Use plenty of glue and make sure all areas of the patch are thoroughly coated. Set the patch aside to dry. Half an hour later, check both the patch and the inside of the RDC to ensure the glue is thoroughly dry. If it feels tacky at all, the glue is not dry. If you are able to slide the patch inside the RDC and move it around without resistance, then you know that you are ready for the next step. Position the patch inside the RDC so that you can see your markings through the tear. Holding the patch in place, take the heat gun and apply heat to the area outside the RDC. Keep the heat gun moving at all times to avoid melting the material. If you see the color change to orange, it is getting too hot. Check with your hand from time to time. The temperature should be around 100 degrees Fahrenheit. After heating, take your pressure tool and apply pressure around the entire patch area. When done, this is what it should look like from the outside. On the inside, there may be edges of the patch that have not completely adhered to the RDC, but this will not affect the patch, as long as enough glue is holding the patch around the tear. The edges of an inside patch are not as critical as the edges on an outside patch. The final step to repair a rip or tear is to apply an outside patch. The outside patch should match the dimensions of the inside patch that you have just completed. Place the outside patch over the tear and lightly trace around it. Put the patch aside and apply MEK to the area you just marked. As you are wiping on the MEK solution, it is a good idea to wipe inwards so that you don't smear your markings outside the area you have marked. This will limit the amount of markings that will be permanently visible after the patch is complete. Use as much MEK as needed to achieve a good coating. Next, thoroughly coat the outside patch with MEK. Note that there is a face side on the material which is smoother, so you would normally prepare the reverse side. Open your glue and apply liberally to the patch. Make sure to reach all the edges. When done, set it aside to dry. Now apply the glue to the outside of the RDC, staying carefully within the guides you marked earlier. Make sure the entire area is coated. Set it aside to dry. After 30 minutes, the glue should be dry and the patch can be applied. Line it up with your markings and hold it in place while applying heat. Keep the heat gun moving the entire time.
Keep the gun moving. If you stay stationary for any time, you'll melt the material.
Next, apply pressure over the entire patch, working it down as you go. The tool that you use may vary, for example, to a screwdriver when you need to work it down and around any irregular shapes. Just be careful that it's not too sharp. Once you've worked down the outside patch, the repair is complete. You will have a secure patch on the inside and the outside, and that is a very secure, permanent repair.